Hello everybody, Bruce Petrov with Home Maintenance Solution and Ask Handyman Bruce. Today I'm going to show you guys how to replace an old wood double hung window like this one with a vinyl replacement window like this. So to be clear, today the video is just going to show you how to take out the sash and the stops and install a window within the wood frame of a wood double hung window like this. There's other ways to do replacement windows and we can talk about that another time. Leave comments in the video below if you want to see a video on a different application, but this is a pretty common one, so we're going to show you how to do this next. What you want to do is you want to take out the window stop all the way around. Now I've done this side already. You can see how this used to be attached here. I pried it out and I even cracked it a little bit, so you want to be careful. You might want to use that again. You might not, depending on the thickness of your window. If the window's set in further, you may not want to use those window stops. You can always get a piece of doorstop molding or something to trim it out afterwards, and we'll show you how to do that. But the first step is to kind of cut the paint along here and separate the stop. So I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm going to find the joint between the window stop and the actual window frame and cause a separation there. Once I find that, I'm going to take my 5-in-1 here and just kind of do a little bit of prying all the way along here and try to separate it from the paint before I start prying too much, because we'll crack it even more than I did on the other side. All right, so once I get it far enough away here to where I can get the bottom out, then I'm going to just keep working along here and making sure I don't put too much pressure on it. Just kind of separate it as we go here. All right, so now this is the window stop, and you should see now a flat wood jamb here that goes back to the parting stop. The parting stop is the stop that divides the two sash tracks. So the upper sash rides on the outside of the parting stop, and the lower sash rides on the inside of the parting stop. We'll get that out in just a minute. I'm going to repeat the same thing at the top, and we'll show you how to start taking it apart. Okay, I've got the window stop out all the way around, but before we move on, I want to show you one thing. You need to know how to measure for your new window before you even get to this point. Probably should have showed you first, but it's simple to do. What we're going to do is we're going to go all the way from this window jamb to window jamb on the inside. So when we had this little stop trim here, well, I can show you over here, it'd be easier to see. We're just going to go inside of that to make sure we're going to the flat jamb, because that's what you're going to have left when you clear everything out. So what I've got here is I've got 36 and 3/16, which is a good measurement, because then I can order a 36-inch replacement window. It'll give us a little space on both sides to kind of fit it into the opening. Now, my window replacement is already here. I ordered this a long time ago, and I noticed it came about 36 and 1/8, so we're going to be tight. So if this opening's a little bit out of square, we could have some trouble, but we'll deal with it somehow. Anyway, you want to try to order that window about 1/4 inch less than what your opening size is. That way you got a little room for play if it's out of square. All right, so the next step is to remove the actual sash. Now, this window, excuse me, let me move my bench here. This window is an old window, and I'm at a rental house today, and it's been kind of needing to be replaced for a while. You can see there's no sash lines on this at all. Lots of times you might have a rope going up here that has a pulley in the top, or you might have a chain running along the side of here, and those need to be disconnected and cut off. If you have one of those, you're probably going to have a weight behind here. There's going to be what's called weight pockets behind here. There's a space in there. If you come across that, cut the rope or chain and let the weight fall. Then what you can do is you can open up the pocket here. There's a little access door on the side which usually got a little nail in it. You pry that open and you can shoot insulation into there, whether it's the expanding foam insulation or if you're just stuffing in batted insulation, whatever it is, you can insulate that space. Today we don't have that on this window, so we're not going to do that. All right, next step is to get the parting stop out, and we're going to start at the bottom here, because you can see it's locked in by the sash, the upper sash. So what I usually do is just kind of break that off, and then you can pull the other side out and break it off. Okay, so now if we drop the sash down, which is going to be a little trick because it's painted closed, we'll cut that open and drop it down. But then we can get past this sash stop, this part of the parting stop, and get the window out. All right, now that we've got the sash down, we can actually make it a little easier for ourselves, and we can just pull the rest of this parting stop out. And that way, that one will come out. Okay, now we've got both sashes out of the window. All right, I got a little hardware here left over from the old screen, which I'm gonna dig out of there. And we'll clean this out, and I'll show you what we got left. Okay, drop my sander. I can get it. Got it. Hey, another tip for you guys. Whenever you do replacement windows, the EPA says that there's an excess buildup of possible lead-based paint. If your house is older than 1978, it means it's likely, excuse me, it's likely you have lead-based paint. So just be aware of that. You need to protect the area and look into the EPA requirements in your area. I've spent the last few minutes painting the outside stop on the window, and I went ahead and painted the just the edge of the aluminum too, so it would all blend right out to this outside corner here. Now I'm going to get a good coat on the sill down here, most of which will be covered, but not all. I want to make sure if we do get any moisture coming up underneath there, which we shouldn't, that it is all covered. So I'm going to spend a little time painting this entire sill. By the way, does everybody know the parts of a window? This is the sill out here, which is a full board that goes under the window and has an edge outside against the siding. This is actually the window stool right here, the interior part. So we're going to paint up to the stool, and the stool will be done on the inside when I paint the inside of the window. But for right now, I don't want to get that wet paint in my way. I got these really nice pants on today. I don't want to get paint on them. So. All right, now I think we're ready for a dry fit on the window. All right, remember what I told you about measuring the window that I'm close on my width, so we'll see what happens there. The height now is somewhat adjustable, and let me give you a little instruction on how to measure the height of your window. You remember that sill board I talked about on the outside of the window? Well, they are always sloped like this, so the water comes down and sheds off. So whenever I measure the closest to the window stool on the inside. This is the inside of the house over here. My height over here, if I measure down here and I order the window to fit that, it's not going to fit. So I measure at the high point and then go up. Now, they usually come with this head expander right here. So we can put this in at the top first and slide our window into that. And this allows for some expansion. I don't know if we're going to need that in this case, but it's available if you do. Another piece that comes with most windows is this sill extender on the bottom. So you remember we have that sloped sill, but our window's square on the bottom. Well, they give you this thing to clip on the outside of the window on the bottom, and that extends the bottom so it fits that slope on the outside. I'll show you how that goes on in a minute. So let's drop the bottom in first against the stop on the outside. And again, we're gonna be tight here, so let's just see what we get. It's like I'm catching on something there. And it looks like our height is actually pretty good. All right, let's see, take it back out and see what we can do. All right, so one thing that often happens is when they fuse these vinyl pieces together for the window, they get a little excess plastic around the corners. And I think that's a big part of where we're hitting. It's not the whole thing, but I think we can persuade the rest of it to go in. Ideally, you don't want to put pressure on a window, but this can handle a little pressure. So we trim this off. Let's see what we get. I'm going to go ahead and put this expander on because it looked like we could use a little bit of extra height, so just in case. I had to grab my bench here to stand on to see a little bit better, and then I realized that I think we were hitting more on the top than anything, so I've taken that expander off for now. I think if I tap this in without being too rough on it, I think we'll be fine. Now, the reason why I've chosen to show all this is because I just want to let you know, oh well, first of all, put the window in backwards. That's what happens when you're on video sometimes. I gotta flip it around, but I'll do that in a minute. What I want to tell you is that when you do windows, realize that there's gonna be some variation and there's gonna be something you didn't account for, a measurement's gonna be off, and sometimes you gotta improvise and you gotta do the best you can in that situation. So get ready for that. There, now that's the extra space that I thought we had. Helps when you put it in the right way, doesn't it? Okay. Now we've got the window essentially in. I'm gonna go on the outside and push it up just a little bit because I've got a little more gap on top than I want, but essentially we've got the window in now. So let me do some tweaks from the outside. I've got the window pushed all the way up where I want it now, which that probably means that this little piece here that we have to clip on the outside isn't quite going to be tall enough. So we're probably going to have to put a little filler piece out there, which isn't a big deal because I'm painting that anyway. I can just put a piece of wood down there and then drop my vinyl piece on top of that wood and paint and caulk the whole thing. If you're doing aluminum wrapping on the outside, you may just have to take your aluminum and wrap over another filler piece. But either way, we can deal with that. Now the next thing is we want to make sure that the window is square. Now right now the window is locked and that usually keeps it pretty close to square, but not exactly. So we want to check a couple things. One, does the window slide well? And it does. Two, does the window have an even gap at the bottom? If it does, like this one is pretty close. We've got to push this center sill down just a little bit, but the edges are the same. That usually tells me that it's square. But I want to do a third check. And that is we're going to measure diagonally. Now you can pick any spot you want on the window, but just fit your tape measure into the corner and just observe how you did that so that you can do the same thing on the other side. And you're measuring to the same point down here. So right now I've got 59 7/16 on a diagonal. So we're gonna fit our tape measure in the same place on the upper right corner, come down to the same spot on the lower left as we did on the lower right. And we're at 59 7/16. Perfect. So we're in good shape now. Now the next step is to caulk this in. I'm going to show you some close-up shots. All right, here's where we are. We've got the vinyl window right here. Okay, and then we've got the wood flat jamb of the window right here. We've got a small gap in here, which is about 1/8 of an inch, which surprisingly, we thought we were going to end up a little tighter than that. I think that the big problem was at the top, so our bottom and our middle dimensions are all pretty good. You can see there's a little bit of foam that came on the window, and that's squished in there nicely. So this is a nice seal right here. What we're going to do next to seal that up, or actually to finish it off, I should say, and to kind of trap the window in there, is we're going to install the window stop back on here. And you can see this actually comes out really close to right where we want it to be as far as our thickness. If you need to, you can rip this down, or you can buy a wider stop if you need to. Before I do that, I'll probably put a bead of caulk in here just to add extra seal, and we're going to do that on the outside as well. All right, here we are on the outside now. So I'm going to caulk where the vinyl window hit up against the outside stop. And I'll go all the way around, but I want to stop here at the bottom and show you what we've got to work with. So now we got a good seal there, and when I paint that, that'll all look real nice. Now, this is where we ran into that problem at the bottom. We've got a little more space down here than we want. So this piece here is made to snap right on there. There's a little slot in the bottom. In fact, all the way around there's a slot. And if you end up wrapping your sill with aluminum, you can put the aluminum right in that little slot, and it makes a nice tight fit, and you can caulk that and it seals it from water. So the water will just run out, hit the aluminum, and run over. Since I'm not doing the aluminum here right now, I'm just gonna put a piece of wood in here to fill that, and then snap this on the front and caulk it. So basically we've got a full seal on the outside. We'll take you back inside and show you quick how to button it up, and you'll be in good shape. All right, I fit the window stop back on here, and I caulked before I did that. In fact, you can still see the caulk if you were to zoom in, which I know you can't see it from there, but you can still see the caulk on the bottom because I've caulked where the vinyl hits the stool on the inside. So now I'm just gonna finish nailing off this window stop. All right, now I've just got to caulk and paint this, and we'll have a new window. Now I realize that a vinyl window is not quite as high of a quality as a wood window is. If I put a brand new wood window in here, be sharp, be nice, but they're about $500 to $600. This vinyl window cost me less than $200. I think it was about $170, and it's maintenance free. It's got a thermal pane glass, and it'll do really well in my occupancy inspection for my rental house. So I hope this helped you get an understanding of how to do vinyl replacement windows. And if you'd like to do those, there's a little summary on how to do it. Leave comments in the video below. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Also, when you see the ads, click on those ads if they're helpful to you, because then they pay for these videos and not you. All right, take care. See you next time.